Hey, listen, have I got a story for you? Now, before we say any names, before we start talking paintings, before we talk museums, I want you to picture this. There's a bloke who walks into your life, charming, confident, magnetic. Everyone likes him straight away. He's funny, intense, makes you feel seen. You think, this guy's different. And at first, everything's great. But then, slowly people around him start falling apart. One woman ends up mentally broken. Another takes her own life. His kids grow up distant from him, confused about where they even belong. Families fracture quietly. And every time something collapses behind him, he just keeps moving forward. Richer, more famous, more untouchable. Because once the world labels you a genius, everything gets forgiven. This is the story of Pablo Picasso. Picasso is born in 1881 in Spain. His father, Jose Ruiz Blasco, is an art teacher. Very traditional, very strict, very Spanish. The kind of bloke who believes discipline builds greatness. From the moment Picasso can hold a pencil, his father puts one in his hand. Drawing isn't a hobby in that house, it's an expectation. And the kid? Well, the kid is good. By the age of 10, he's drawing with confidence adults don't have. By 13, he's painting better than students twice his age. There's a real story, and it's been told by multiple people, where Picasso's father, watching him finish a painting, slowly puts his brushes down and says, "I have nothing left to teach you." Now that sounds beautiful, but that's also the moment the seed gets planted. Because imagine being a teenager and already knowing you're the smartest person in the room. From that moment on, Picasso grows up believing something dangerous. Rules are for other people. The family moves around Spain, first La Coruña, then Barcelona. And Barcelona at the turn of the century is chaos. This isn't postcard Spain with guitars and sangria. This is smoke-filled cafes, political radicals, poets shouting about the revolution, artists drinking until sunrise. Picasso loves it. He's not studying art anymore, he's studying people. He sits in cafes for hours, wine on the table, sketching faces. Not pretty faces, tired faces, angry faces, broken faces. He's fascinated by weakness. Not in a sympathetic way, in a curious way. Like he's learning where the cracks are. And this is where the drinking starts. Not casually, not socially. This is European cafe culture. Wine all night, conversations that never end, sleep optional. Picasso thrives in it. This lifestyle doesn't exhaust him, it fuels him. Then he goes to Paris. Early 1900s, Paris is brutal. Tiny rooms, no heating, no money. Artists stacked together like dreamers on life support. Picasso is poor, properly poor. Sometimes he eats, sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes he sleeps in his coat. Then tragedy hits. One of his close friends, Carlos, kills himself after a failed relationship. The death shocks Picasso deeply, and suddenly his paintings change. Everything turns blue. Cold blue, lonely blue. Begging men, blind figures, women hunched over children. This becomes the blue period. Museums frame it like poetic sadness. But this isn't poetry. This is grief mixed with hunger. This is a young man staring at death and poverty at the same time. And here's the important part. This is when Picasso learns something that stays with him forever. Pain has value. People respond to suffering. Collectors notice it. Attention comes from it. This is the moment suffering stops being something he wants to escape and becomes something he learns how to use. Eventually his life improves. He eats better, sells more paintings. The colours warm up. This becomes the rose period. Circus performers, soft emotions, romantic themes. people think he's mellowing. Wrong! Because while the colours soften, the ego explodes. Then in 1907 he paints La Demoiselle d'Avignon, and the art world loses its mind. Faces fractured, bodies distorted, everything uncomfortable. People say it's ugly. Picasso doesn't care, because he's not trying to be liked. He's trying to be dominant. This is the moment he stops asking permission. From here on out, he decides what art is. The gangster energy. That's walking into a card game and changing the rules mid-hand. Then he teams up with George Baroque. Together, they invent Cubism. Reality broken into pieces. Multiple perspectives at once. People hate it, then copy it, then pretend they love it. That's Picasso's move every time. Shock first, control later. Now he's famous. Now he's got money. Now he's dangerous. Now this is the part most biographers skip, because now Picasso isn't rising anymore. He's arrived. Galleries don't discover him. They compete for him. Collectors don't negotiate. They wait. If Picasso paints today, the work is sold tomorrow. Sometimes before it's finished. People stop asking what it means. Meaning doesn't matter anymore. The name does. And slowly something shifts. Critics stop criticising. Not because the work is perfect, but because nobody wants to be the one to say, I don't get it. Because saying that now means you're the idiot, not him. That's when the power really sets in. Then during the Spanish Civil War, he paints Guernica. A screen frozen in paint. One of the most powerful anti-war images ever created. A Nazi officer sees it and asks, "Did you do this?" Picasso replies, "No, you did." That's not art talk, that's Godfather dialogue. Then Picasso adds another mask, politics. During and after World War II, he becomes openly political. He hates fascism, hates Franco, hates Hitler. In 1944, after the Nazis are driven out of Paris, Picasso joins the French Communist Party. Publicly, photographed, celebrated, used as a symbol. He talks about workers, about equality, about standing with the oppressed. And on paper it sounds noble. But in reality, Picasso is now living better than kings. Huge villas, private studios, servants, collectors begging for his attention. He talks about the people while living completely above them. And nobody challenges it. Because again, geniuses get a free pass. The Communist Party loves his name. Picasso loves the power, not necessarily the politics. Power is power. Now here's the strange thing. As famous as he is, Picasso never returns to Spain. Not while Franco is alive. He refuses. Spain becomes symbolic now. A wound, a protest, so he stays in France. And slowly he disappears from the public life. Picasso retreats to the south of France. Large houses, huge walls, quiet countryside. This is no struggling artist anymore. This is a man building his own kingdom. Access becomes control. You don't visit Picasso, you're allowed to see Picasso. Assistants manage people, partners manage schedules, and gatekeepers decide who enters his world. The circle shrinks, not because he wants peace, but because control is easier when fewer people are close. The closer someone gets, the more power he has over them. And this is where the women enter the story. He marries Olga Koklova, a Russian ballerina. This is high society now. Opera houses, formal dinners, respectable image. They have a son, Paolo. And for a short time, Picasso plays family man. Then the cheating starts, openly, publicly. He humiliates Olga, controls finances. And when she asks for a divorce, Picasso refuses because divorce means splitting his wealth. So he traps her. Years of separation without freedom. Psychological warfare. very mob boss marriage logic. She lives bitter and isolated. He lives however he wants. Then he meets Marie Therese Walter. Young, bright, innocent. She becomes his obsession. He paints her endlessly. Curved forms, soft colours. She gives him a daughter, Maya. But while she's pregnant, Picasso starts another affair. She's devastated. Years after Picasso dies, Marie hangs herself. Now that's fact, not speculation. That's the price of being a muse. Then comes Dora Maar, brilliant photographer, political intelligent, strong personality. Picasso loves breaking strong women. Friends say he enjoys emotional conflict. There's a real story where two women argue over him in public, and Picasso just watches, like entertainment. Dora later suffers severe mental breakdowns and is institutionalized. Picasso never visits, moves on again. Later comes Françoise Gillot. She's younger, smarter, tougher. She has two children with him, Claude and Paloma. But unlike the others, she leaves him, actually walks away. Picasso is furious. He tries to destroy her. He tells galleries not to show her work, tries to erase her. But she survives anyway, one of the very few who does. Then comes Jacqueline Rocco. And this one is different. Jacqueline isn't a model. She isn't an artist. She isn't part of the Paris intellectual scene. She works at a ceramic studio in the south of France. Quiet, reserved, devoted. Picasso meets her in the early 1950s, and by this point, he's not chasing anymore. He's choosing. Jacqueline becomes his constant. Where the others challenged him, argued with him, fought back, Jacqueline doesn't. She orbits him, protects him, defends him, filters the world for him, and slowly she becomes the gatekeeper. Friends can't visit without her approval. Family members struggle to get time with him. Even his own children are kept at a distance. Not because Picasso asked directly, but because Jacqueline understands what keeps him calm. Silence, control, loyalty. They marry in 1961. Picasso is nearly 80. Jacqueline is in her 30s. For the final 20 years of his life, she is his world. She sits beside him while he paints, manages the house, controls access, and the isolation deepens. By the end, Picasso is surrounded by people, but separated from everyone. Picasso has children with multiple women in overlapping relationships. The household structure is chaos. Different families, different homes, different emotional worlds. Some children feel abandoned. Some barely know him. Art always comes first. People come second, if you're lucky. As the children grow older, the distance doesn't disappear. It hardens. Some struggle emotionally. Some struggle financially, while Picasso's paintings sell for millions. Some of his own children feel like outsiders looking in. Access to him becomes formal. Appointments, permission, waiting. He's not a father you call. He's a figure you approach. And the absence follows them for life. The drinking never stops. Wine every day. Painting all night. Sleeping all day. His homes are chaos. Canvases everywhere. People close to him say the chaos is intentional. If everyone else feels unsettled, he's in control. That's not artistic behaviour. That's power psychology. As he gets older, a new fear creeps in. Not death, irrelevance. Youth is everywhere. New artists, new movements. So Picasso works constantly. Paintings, sketches, ceramics, prints. Thousands of works. Almost obsessive. Like he's racing time itself. If he keeps producing, he stays alive. By the end, Picasso is insanely rich. One of the most famous artists in history. But look around him. broken relationships, estranged children, women destroyed emotionally. Van Gogh died poor, Picasso died wealthy. And sometimes that's the darker ending. When he dies in 1973, Jacqueline is devastated. She protects his legacy furiously, fights his children, battles over the estate, and 13 years later, Jacqueline takes her own life. That makes two women, two lives broken long after the genius is gone. And suddenly, the opening of this story isn't metaphor anymore. It's pattern. Picasso dies in 1973 at 91 years old, surrounded by paintings. And even in death, the chaos continues. Picasso leaves no will, no instructions, nothing. What he leaves behind is one of the largest art estates ever known. Thousands of artworks, billions in value. Families argue, lawyers dissent, government steps in. Paintings become bargaining chips. Art becomes currency. Disorder he created in life explodes after him. And that's the story they don't hang on the wall. Because genius is beautiful until you see who paid the price for the genius. The question is, would you pay the price to be a genius? Or would you just turn around and say, "Oh, monkey cats"?